Quick question. Would you vacation on Mars? We're not talking 100 years from now or someday. We're talking about your kids taking a weekend trip to Olympus Mons. And if Elon Musk actually pulls off what he promised, that is going to be a very real option in the near future. SpaceX is going public, and in those IPO documents is the most insane compensation package ever written. We're not talking about stock options and golden parachutes. We're talking about Elon needing to build a Dyson swarm around the Earth and colonize Mars with over 1 million people, or he gets nothing. And if he actually manages to pull this off, he's going to be the first trillionaire. But more importantly, he will take humanity from being an earthbound species to being a spacebound species. And in today's video, we're going to be breaking down all the numbers of this record-breaking $1 trillion compensation package, what it means for humanity, the physics behind all the things he would have to accomplish to make this happen, and why Elon might actually be racing against the clock that no one realizes is ticking. Let's get into it. $4 trillion. That is not a typo. That is what Elon stands to make if he actually hits every milestone in this compensation package. Let's break down the math. So the compensation package involves him receiving 260 million new shares of SpaceX. So that alone would be worth about $1 trillion if he hits the valuation milestones. But Elon right now owns 42% of SpaceX. So if he hits the $7.5 trillion market cap valuation he needs to hit, that 42% is going to be worth $3.15 trillion. So 3.15 trillion plus 1 trillion from the new stock. That means he's worth $4.15 trillion. He is the first trillionaire. But here's the part that nobody is talking about. To receive that money, Elon has to do the impossible. Not hard, not unprecedented. He needs to do things that violate the laws of logistics, material science, and maybe even sanity. And this is where it gets completely unhinged. Okay, the first milestone, the easy one. He has to take SpaceX to a valuation of $7.5 trillion. And to put that in context, that's more than tripling the value of the company, which will be valued at around $2 trillion at IPO. That's wild, but that's doable. But here's the catch. That alone does not unlock the shares. He has to do something else. He has to put 100 terawatts of AI compute in orbit around Earth. Let me put that in context. So all the energy produced on Earth right now is about 20 terawatts. So Elon needs to put 5 times the amount of energy that is being produced on Earth in space around Earth doing AI compute.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
This isn't some company goal. This is a civilization-wide project. So let's talk about the logistics of actually making that happen. So let's do some back of the envelope math here. So SpaceX's new Starship version 3 can carry 150 tons to orbit. Great. So each ton of hardware generates about 100 kilowatts of compute power. So if we do the math, talking 1 billion tons of hardware that needs to be hauled into space. So you need to launch 1 billion tons into space. So that is a total of 6.7 million Starship launches to get that much AI compute in space. And this is the easy part. So let's talk about what he's actually launching into space. GPUs. He's going to have to launch billions of GPUs to meet that 1 billion tons of hardware that he's launching into space. And GPUs are made of silicone. So he's going to have to drastically increase the global production of silicone to meet this demand. And silicone is just sand, so that's kind of easy. But the real problem is gallium, indium, and silver. And here's why. Copper is very heavy. And copper is traditionally what we use to communicate information back and forth. But it is far too heavy to launch into space. So he's going to have to use gallium and indium to do something called silicone photonics. So instead of sending information back and forth with wires, he's going to be sending it back and forth with lasers. But those lasers are going to need gallium and indium, and we don't have that much of it. Then you've got the solar panels. Those solar panels are what is going to power these AI data centers in space, and they're going to require a ton of silver. And if you do rough back of the envelope math here, you're going to need to use about 80% of the world's silver reserve to actually build out the solar panels for all this AI compute. This is a logistical nightmare, but it's not theoretically impossible. Let's talk about the truly ridiculous part of this AI compute in space: heat dissipation. You know what's really hard in space? Getting rid of heat. On Earth, you've got air, you've got fans, you've got water cooling, but in space, you can't do any of that. The only way heat can escape is through radiation. And I use AI to help me with some of these calculations, so don't fight me if, it rounded up or down or whatever. But to shed the heat from 100 terawatts of compute, you're going to need a radiator with a surface area of 120,000 square kilometers. For reference, that's the size of Mississippi or about the size of Greece. And it's going to be made of aluminum and ammonia-filled pipes floating in orbit. And it will be glowing red hot from all the heat that it's dissipating. You will actually be able to see this swarm of AI compute in the night sky. It'll be the second brightest object in the night sky behind the moon. So here's the problem. For Elon Musk to pull this off, there's not enough refined materials on Earth. Our supply chains can't support it. We're nowhere even close. So if Elon is serious about this, and based on his compensation package, he's actually going to have to refine these materials from asteroids and build this AI compute in space. So if he pulls this off, he's not just a CEO anymore. He'll be the first person to own his own Dyson swarm. But he has to do all of this just to unlock the first 60 million shares of his compensation package. And to unlock the next 200 million shares, he has to do something even crazier. Are you ready for this? So Elon Musk, to receive those last 200 million shares, needs to establish a self-sustaining Mars space colony with over 1 million residents. Not a flag planting mission, not a research outpost. A fully self-sustaining Mars colony with over 1 million people permanently. Let me put in context how crazy this number is. Austin, Texas just surpassed 1 million people. So you need to take the entire city of Austin, every tech bro, every college student, every taco truck, pick them up and plant them on Mars permanently. And here's the part that'll make you spit out your coffee. Elon Musk is going to have to launch 1,300 times more people into space than we have done in the entire history of humanity. It is taking us over 60 years to just launch 600 people into space. And Elon is talking about launching 1 million people into space in a single generation. At this point, you might be thinking, all of this sounds truly insane. There's no board of directors that will allow him to chase these outlandish goals. They would just fire him. And you would be right, except Elon Musk cannot be fired from SpaceX unless Elon Musk fires Elon Musk. Let me explain. So SpaceX has a dual share structure, Class A and Class B shares. Those Class B shares have 10-to-1 voting rights against the Class A shares. So even though Elon only owns 42% of SpaceX, it's 42% in Class B shares. So he has over 80% of the voting rights on the company. But wait, can't the board just fire Elon? The answer is no. And it's because there is a clause in the charter of SpaceX that says you require the majority of the Class B share votes. And who owns the majority of the Class B shares? Elon Musk. So Elon cannot be removed by votes from the shareholders. He cannot be removed from the board. So you might be thinking, none of this will hold up in court. But Elon thought about that too. He moved the legal home of SpaceX from Delaware to Texas because after his pay package got voided from Tesla in the Delaware courts, he repositioned it to Texas, where they're a lot more lenient for corporate structures like this. And to add icing to the cake, there is actually a clause in the IPO document saying that shareholders have waived their right to sue. So Elon is untouchable. So as you might imagine, a lot of these goals are very long term. They're going to take a few decades to actually play out. But that doesn't mean that there's not a shadow deadline ticking in the background. So Elon Musk actually got issued 68.8 million stock options in SpaceX in 2021. And those stock options expire in 2031. So even though he may not be able to accomplish all the goals necessary to unlock this entire compensation package, he's going to do everything in his power to get as far along as possible by 2031. So why would anyone sign up for this? Elon is in total control. He can't be fired. The goals are borderline impossible, and the shareholders have no legal recourse to actually remove him. And the real answer is he's not building a company anymore. He is building a civilization. And if he actually succeeds in achieving these goals, the amount of value that he's going to be creating by being the premier real estate owner on Mars, building the first Dyson swarm of AI compute that is 5 times larger than the energy production of the Earth, mining asteroids in our solar system, all those things are going to generate trillions and trillions of dollars. He's going to generate an entire new economy that did not exist before. And people who are buying into SpaceX are believing that if he accomplishes 1/10 of that vision, the value of that company is going to be astronomical. So investors aren't buying stock. They're buying a front row seat to the next chapter of human civilization. So here is the big question. Is Elon Musk actually insane? Maybe, probably, most definitely. But Elon's track record is very clear. When he says he's going to do something impossible, he usually delivers. It might take a little longer than he promised, but he usually gets it done. And if you've made it this far in this video, you clearly like these deep dives on interesting financial topics. So leave a like on the video so that YouTube algo knows that it's good stuff. Share it with someone else and subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be trying to make you 1% better every day. And I'd love to hear down in the comments below if you think Elon is completely insane, or if you are actually planning to invest in this company, or if you're going to steer way clear of these insane goals. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.
Understand the market, keep your vision on the prize, building up the wealth right in front of your eyes. Talk Higgins, yeah, we keep it moving. Talk Higgins, watch the wealth improving. Markets and the money, making sense of the math, helping you navigate the financial path. Talk Higgins, subscribe for the vision. Stay smart, stay invested. We out.